Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cube 2023. It's Charlie McQueen here, and right now I have the Appleseed Boat Gang with me on the main stage, here to talk about their world famous ice boat racing. Take it away, you guys.
Yo, thank you so much, Charlie, for having us here. Um, yeah, I see a great crowd out here for the Cube show. We've been really enjoying it, and we can't wait to show you guys a great presentation here we have put together to really get across to you all the art of racetrack building. So, ladies and gentlemen, anyways, welcome to the Ice Boat Racing panel presented by the Appleseed Boat Gang. My name's Adam, and while last year we taught you about the world of boat racing, today we'll be getting you guys up to speed on how to build your own racetrack in Minecraft. Next, let's see it here. What actually is ice boat racing? As you may know, it's the simple act of just drifting boats and placing them down on ice. Now, although what we're teaching here can be applied to any sort of Minecraft racing, such as horse racing, running, our passion obviously lies in the boat. Unlike other vehicles, boats present a unique ability to slide on ice, and they accelerate like nuts. There's a ton of skill involved when it comes to controlling your slide and speed through corners, and is a strong appeal for people who like speed running and any sort of racing, especially given you could have different types of boat racing, like driving around tracks as fast as possible, time trialing, and you can also have races against other players on big racetracks, and we've had community-held events with up to 20 drivers all at once. Let's take a look at the next one here. So you can see this. This is a funny little slide here. I just like to show this image. This really shows an idea as to back when boat mechanics were being updated back in 2016 with the 1.9 update. It was always considered a bug to many that boats slide fast on ice. And to be honest with you, we're just indefinitely grateful in our community that Mojang kept it the way it is, that boats should go vroom vroom fast. So let's check out the next slide here. I mean, this really gives you a rundown here. So the Appleseed Boat Gang is a community that I started back in 2021. And ultimately, building racetracks really is the backbone of what we do. Ever since we've started, we've always found that, there's been a challenge in trying to find effective ways of building new track locations, whether it be fantasy locations from any sort of video game or something you come up with, or real life replicas of, let's say, Formula One tracks in Minecraft that we use for our F1 series. Now, over time, as we hosted more events, we really honed in on appealing to those who have a love for motorsports and weird Minecraft racing mechanics. And that really helped us get to where we are today, where we have a vast set of tools available to develop boat racing tracks. Instead of it taking months like it used to, we can make tracks within the span of weeks. So let's check out the next slide here and get a bit of an outline for what we're going to be looking at here. So we're going to be looking at different sorts of phases of track building. We're going to look at the planning, so looking at the scope, the scale, and brainstorming what's your track going to be for. We're then going to look at planning the usage of mods we have, such as the Boat Utils mod that lets you drive up blocks. Then we're going to look at shaping the track, so actually drafting it, putting pen to paper, and trying to figure out what your design is going to be. And then, of course, we're also going to look at, within the shaping segment, how to get your track into Minecraft. And then we're going to look at tuning, various ways you can mix ice to make faster segments of the track and slower segments. So without further ado, let's go take it away here with my buddy Blue Leader, who's going to start us off with track planning.
Hello. So let's get into the track planning right away here. So the first thing we want to think about when thinking about a plan for the track is building a foundation and building those first steps. So planning a track is the first step and the most crucial. Provides, like I said, a foundation for a build and forms efficient track development. So on the next slide here, first thing to think about is the track size and scale. And this matters a lot as it determines the track's build time and, interestingly, its difficulty as well. So, for example, let's look at a short and wide track here. Baby Park here on the top right. It's very easy. It takes little time to build, and its length makes the turns more repeatable and easier to grasp. And its width makes them less forgiving and allows mistakes to be less mistakey. Compare that to something like Yoshi Valley. It's a long track with multiple different thin routes. It's very difficult in the fact that its length makes mistakes more viable, and its width punishes those who make the mistakes. Next slide. So we want to look at getting a plan on the turn layout of a track. And it gives it its flow and it's the real meat of a track. It's certainly an art form, giving tracks fast and smooth turns like BCC in the top right, or slow and thin tracks, or slow and tight tracks like CGP. Next slide, please. Onto track theming and decoration, this is what gives a track its character. From biomes to recreations of other tracks, this is where Minecraft creativity comes to life. Let's look at Ember Valley right here, which has a fall theme over the mountaintops. Or we can look at the recreation of Bahrain, which focuses on realism of an F1 track as well as being in a desert. Next slide, please. Of course, we can't be serious all the time in our block game, right? So gimmicks are something that provide a track some more variables and provide unique experiences for drivers. When not required on every track, a gimmick is certainly something to be planned before building. We could look at something like Boingbird's Pong Skip right here. So taking a green line right there is a pretty normal route going around the outside of a turn. But you can also take this alternative red line, which requires an intense maneuver and difficult one to be able to skip over a pond skip, being able to jump over multiple seconds over those who are taking the normal route. It's risky, but it does work. Another thing that we can think about is event gimmicks, and these aren't necessarily tied to the track. They're more so based around events and races that are hosted on these tracks. This is, of course, is up to the race directors to provide a spice in the race in case things get a little boring. So this could be something from putting a giant spider on the track during the Australia race, or maybe we can look at Monza in this picture right here. So the walls on the inside of this runoff actually can come down every now and then on random times and be able to have drivers slide through the runoff without having to take the chicane. It saves a lot of time, but you don't necessarily know when it's going to be down. So that's something to think about for event gimmicks. But of course, we can't. Let me say that. Now, onto a special segment. We're going to look at the new mods for boat racing and the Boat Utils Revolution presented by Fantasy.
Thank you so much, Blue. We are incredibly lucky to have a great team of developers who have created a few mods for us that's made it possible for us to actually defy the normal physics that Minecraft offers. These mods came to be largely over the past year and actually really developed since our last visit here. I believe as last time we were here, we only recently had developed the rally mod that you can see in the top right. These mods have also more commonly been known as the Boat Utils mods in our community. Next slide, please. Oh no, previous slide. I need to be on. It's the previous slide we need to be on. There you go. Thank you so much. So our wonderful developers have created in total 3 mods for us now that actually all let us do something different. That being driving on all surfaces, as you can see in the top right rally picture. It's also allowed us to create more precise yet still elevation affected tracks, as you can see in the BA picture. And it's actually allowed us to customize the falling speeds we fall down upon, making some of our FC1 tracks as our Formula 1 tracks made in Minecraft to real scale, much more realistic, but more on those later. It should also be noted at this point that each mod is actually from different time periods of the year, and all actually build upon the last version of the mod, and I will go through that. Now we can go to the vanilla section. Vanilla, as alluded to in the name, is the vanilla form of boat racing. With vanilla physics, we aren't able to traverse upwards or negate the speed penalty when falling down blocks. This also means that most of our vanilla tracks, on most of our vanilla tracks, elevation is a rare sight, but has been made possible, introducing water elevators and water pillars as seen in their respective pictures. Water elevators allows us to use the natural Minecraft physics of having the boat float to the top of the water if it enters a bubble cone. This method is used in the bottom right picture and isn't necessarily bad, but can at times be ping dependent in races. Water pillars are a different way to more manipulate the Minecraft physics to let us go up blocks more naturally. The way water pillars work is that if a boat is entering a water column or water in general, while falling down a block, it'll be pushed up a block instead with a speed penalty, so it isn't fully possible to keep all your speed through these water pillars, but you do keep a bit. On to the next slide. Rally was the first ever mod to be released, and it at its core altered the Minecraft physics to essentially let us drive on all blocks. This didn't matter if that block was dirt, sand, leaves, or even air, which actually is how we negated the speed loss while falling down blocks and driving downhill. This mod was very popular as it was a new way to explore track limits on rally courses as seen in their two pictures, which a lot of us, including me as one of our top drivers, found very exciting at the start. There was actually even a league which was hosted to utilize this mod, and as it was so unique and it was very intriguing to watch unfold. Next slide. On to BA Boat Utils, or at its full name, Blind Attack Boat Utils. Blind Attack Boat Utils is a set of boat utils that goes more in depth with what we're allowed to race upon. It limits us back to the ice, but keeps a lot of the stuff from the rally mod. Like I said, it builds upon them. And with there being no speed loss while driving downhill, and of course, we're still allowed to drive uphill. It was named after a very well-known competition in our community, which is called Blind Attack, hosted by the one and only Renacast. The mod was specifically made for Renault's league, and it was a great concept that lasted a grand total of 3 races. Not a long league, I know, but to be fair to them, the tracks they put forward were absolutely incredible, and the experience we had through it may have been some of the best in my career. If you do want to know more about this league, Crafties has posted a video about his experience with the league on his channel, and honestly, I'd implore you all to watch it. It's really a great video. On to falling speeds. Now, as time went on, we did realize there was a slight problem in our older Boat Utils versions. As when we created more and more FC1 tracks, a lot of them scaled up and became a lot more elevation affected. And this created the problem of when driving downhill, as we were falling at what's called packed ice speeds, it didn't matter that our track surface was blue ice, but you'd be locked into a very slow packed ice speed going downhill, which was really annoying at times for tracks that were kind of meant to be so much more and so much more exhilarating. So the most recent mod known as Boat Utils fixes that problem by allowing us to fall at blue ice speeds, which is a lot faster and really help the track flows and overall track difficulty, as well as the consistency of the tracks that were in desperate needs of it. But that is all from me, a bit of nerd talk. On to one of the most crucial parts of track making. Alessandro, take it away.
Well, as you rightfully said, now it's time for us to talk about making your track, because it's now your time to actually give it shape. Because shape is probably the most defining thing of a track. You can make 2 identical tracks with different decorations and they'll still feel the same. But if you do 2 same decorations, 2 very different tracks, they're not going to feel the same for very obvious reasons. So we're going to mention a couple of methods we can use to shape our tracks more easily, starting off with what I like to call the Mad Lad method, aka building in survival. You see, building ice boat racing tracks in survival is like trying to carry a 1-ton rock up a mountain. It's practically impossible. Basically, the main issue with building ice boat racing tracks in survival mode is the fact that 1 single piece of blue ice costs around 81 pieces of regular ice, for which you'll need either an already frozen biome like a frozen river, frozen ocean, or build an ice farm and start farming ice just to build your ice boat racing racetrack. Despite all these difficulties, there are still absolute mad lads that have managed to build proper ice boat racing facilities in survival mode, such as Thomas to Space, who built one on the Legacy SMP and gracefully gave us that track for us to test out on our server. But of course, there are other very easy methods. We want to teach you guys about how you can build your own ice boat racing tracks, because the fun thing about Minecraft is that you can build your own tracks, something you really can't do in other racing games. Maybe with not as much customization as Minecraft allows you to, because obviously you can decorate it however you want. So there's a lot of commands on screen. This is just world edit talk in case you don't know how to use a world edit brush. If you know how to use a world edit brush, this should be the ABCs for you. Basically, TLDR, because I'm not going to go through all the commands, you create a world edit brush that creates cylinders of packed ice. and then you make a track out of it. You draw it. You literally draw it by pressing right click. And then if you want to add blue ice sections, all you need to do is make it so you replace certain packed ice blocks with blue ice blocks wherever you want. If you want to cheese the edges as well, the list of commands is right there. That's just personal preference. I always like having using either 8 layers of snow or a powdered snow layer for the edges, because it allows for, it looks like the lines of the outside of the track. This is obviously a very simple method. It is not my preferred method, but it is definitely one you can do to doodle up a very simple 5-second track if you want to test something. Now, if you refer to the next slide, we actually find what I consider to be my personal favorite method. I've been kind of semi-developing it for the better part of a year, and it's what I call the scribble plus path method. Basically, it's very simple to do. It is very simple to do, and that's why I encourage everyone to even just try it, even if you guys have never done an ice boat racing track before. I genuinely want you guys to try it. It's very simple. All you need to do is open any drawing program, Photoshop, Paint.net, whatever you guys have. Close your eyes for 5 seconds and draw a doodle with your eyes closed. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. You can see on the left-hand side, it doesn't make any sense. All you need to do now is draw some identifiable features on that doodle that you think look interesting. Like, for example, you can see on the second image, I highlighted in red. I like that straight at the top. I like these 2 turns, and obviously you don't have to follow the doodle 100%, but I really like those shapes. And so what I did, I just kept those shapes. And then to fill everything up, I used the inner part of the doodle, because obviously it has intertwining lines that allow you to create certain turns. And then you're left off with the third image, a doodle with the images, with the things you picked up at first and how you connected them. But this doesn't look smooth enough. And I like smooth tracks, because I don't like going around into clunky spaces because it really affects the racing line. So what I did was using the pen tool, the path tool, depending on which program you use, it may have different names. The symbol for it is at the bottom right of the slide. And what it allows you to do is it creates a point and then a second point, and it creates a perfectly straight line between them. If you keep the click, then it allows you to do a perfectly smooth turn. So all you need to do is go around this little doodle with this tool, and then it allows you to just create a very smooth shape with the actual shape of the track you wanted to design. And then with this picture, you could actually make it pixel to block, because there's websites such as MC Stacker or Pixel Stacker that allows you to create a world edit schematic out of this track. If you guys don't know, a world edit schematic, it's like a little file you can paste, and you can save actual Minecraft structures with that schematic into a plugin called World Edit. And basically, you can create this image like to real scale. So for example, say 1 pixel equals 1 ice block, and you can actually make tracks with the exact width you want. So for example, in this case, I think I made it so it's 23 blocks wide. So the black line you see is 23 pixels wide. And so when I convert this image into a schematic and I paste it into a Minecraft world, I'm going to create a 23 block wide ice boat racing track. I know it sounds very complicated now, but just go step by step. I think the steps are pretty easy to see. And I bet you guys will be able to make great tracks in practically no time. But of course, there's other methods, such as the ones I'm going to refer to in the next couple of slides. Like, for example, the OBJ to schematic method. Now, the OBJ to schematic method is a weird one. Basically, this is a program that allows you to convert .obj files, which are 3D renders, and they allow you to convert them into actual Minecraft schematics made out of blocks, and they actually color them for you. Or you can just make it one texture, and then you paint it right after, whatever you want. Basically, what goes on here is that we use this to recreate tracks from video games like Mario Kart, for example. We just take the 3D model off of the Mario Kart game files, and then we convert that into a 3D model. And that allows you to very easily and very accurately represent all of these video game and virtual locations. For example, you can see my recreation of Wuhu Island, one of the projects I'm the most proud of in my history of playing this game. I actually made this render, and I made it in only one texture, so I actually painstakingly painted every single surface of the island. But again, it took me a month, but it was such a great month. And seeing the final project, you can see the images top to bottom. They're practically twins. So this process does in fact work. And I will go over a couple more not complicated, but more complex methods we don't have time to explain in this presentation, such as ripping off from Google Maps. This is something we mainly use for our FC1 Formula One series, because we want our tracks to be as one-to-one as possible to the real thing. So for example, in this image, you can see it's the Singapore Grand Prix, and we took the data Google Maps allows us to have, and then we use that to create the track in Minecraft. That in combination with a Boat Utils mod also allows us to create exact replicas of the tracks. And obviously, since we're a racing community, we like also importing stuff from sim racing games, such as Assetto Corsa. Because as I said, Minecraft is a game that allows you to create your own tracks. But not only that, Minecraft is actually the only racing game which will allow you to put different speeds on different zones of the track and force players to stick to those speeds. That is what we call tuning, and that is what Adam's Apples will explain to you right now.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Alessandro. So this is the next part here, the whole process in making your own track. We come to track tuning. So track tuning effectively, let's go check out the next slide here to see what it really boils down to. The whole fundamental idea is the fact that in Minecraft, different blocks of ice will allow you to drive at different speeds when you slide over them. So you can see here on the left, we have ice and packed ice, which has a maximum top speed of 144 kilometers an hour. Whereas blue ice pretty much has double the speed. You're able to hit 262 kilometers an hour here on blue ice. So those are the main two types of ice and the main two speeds that you're able to play with when you develop track tuning on your circuits. So what you can do is that you can make a certain segment of your track, let's say packed ice. You can make another segment of it blue ice if you're on a straightaway. I see in chat here, some people don't know what a kilometer is. In case you need it, I wrote it below. It's 90 miles and 163. So I hope that helps you Americans. But otherwise, see with the ice tuning, this is a good picture I put here on the right side of the image in particular, because that shows a little bit of how you can actually mix these two types of ice together. So on the left side of that image, you see we have a line there. It's just a strip of only packed ice. On the right side, you have only blue ice. And what you could do is you can actually mix the ices together to get a different variant of speed from 144 to 262 being the top. And this is what we're going to basically, this is like, I guess, the mechanic that we're going to exploit, right, in our whole process to track tuning. So let's go check out the next slide and give some examples here of styles of track tuning. So this is basically the classic style of tuning, is what we call pro tuning. So the way pro tuning works is that you effectively draw out a racing line. And I guess for a bit of context here, you guys can see I drew in red on the images there what are the racing lines. So they're effectively the fastest ways around the track that you want to stick to. And the idea really is that you're putting blue ice on that racing line. So within each of those examples, you can see how blue ice is covered all across that racing line. And what happens is that it makes a racing line that is a little bit more harder to actually follow very accurately. And what that allows for is that for people who like time trialing, let's say, it really makes your track a very appealing one for them. Whereas, let's say for racing, it's not always the best because maybe it'll mean that during a race, if you're trying to follow somebody and get an overtake, you'll have to wait for them to make the mistake for you to be able to get through on that fastest racing line. On the other hand, let's go check out the next slide here for a different style of tuning. You see here we have another style. This is called anti-tuning. So unlike pro tuning, where you're putting blue ice on the racing line, anti-tuning is where you're putting packed ice instead. So the idea behind this is that you can see here in these various images, you have the fastest line, which is in red. There's packed ice that is placed onto that fastest line. And what this causes is that it basically causes basically this difference in lines where people will be more encouraged to try to explore outside of just that fastest line. So that this way, although going off of the racing line might cause you to have to drive further distances, you'll be going at a higher speed because of the blue ice. And because of that, it allows for multiple racing lines to be able to manifest throughout various corners. So let's say on the left side, you have an image from Baku here. It's a very sharp 90-degree corner to the left. And with all that packed ice being placed on the racing line on entry for that corner, so you want to take a nice wide entry and swing in, that slows you down almost too much, a little bit excessively. And somebody who can basically take a bit of the inside line, take more blue ice, duck over to the right side, and then back in to take the corner, can actually gain a little more speed than someone who just takes the racing line. Now, another example here, you can see in the top right corner, this is on BCC, it's turn 5. It's a very large, sweeping right-hand corner. The idea is that you have a lot of packed ice on the shortest line, at the very inside radius of this circle. And because of the fact that there's instead blue ice on the outside, people can take a further distance around the outside of that corner. And despite the fact that they're taking bigger distance, they have more speed. And it means that 2 drivers can come in parallel throughout that entire corner. So there's another example there at the bottom right corner you see with a track I made that involves a chicane. And with that one, it's the similar idea where you have a red line that has packed ice on it. It's slower. And as such, it rewards people who can go off the beaten line to get extra speed, even though they're further away. And it's a great way to encourage more racing. So anti-tuning really benefits racing versus time trialing, where it's maybe not as satisfying to drive such tracks. But let's take a look here at a final type of tuning really consider. The next slide, we'll look at ultra tuning, which is a term that Alessandro here had coined a little while back. It's got a funny little name to it, but the whole idea behind it really is that you take the whole idea of pro tuning, anti-tuning, and you combine them together into a ice style that effectively makes it really hard for pro drivers to spot out the ideal racing line. So you can see within these examples we have here, anti-tuning generally tries to mask what's the fastest line with a weird assortment of packed ice and blue ice, but to really boil it down, the way it works is that you're basically trying to slide into a corner, or you can shoot early, and there's multiple viable ways around it. Just based off of the simple fact that maybe it's hard to spot out the fastest line, and it leaves more experimentation for people to find what's best. So it's a little bit more scattered effectively. And I mean, basically with all these different types of tuning methods, the idea is that you really want to encourage the right type of tuning for your track. So whether you want your track to be better for time trialing, maybe more pro tuning is better, or if you want a really good racing track, anti-tuning might be better. And otherwise, you can use anything in between, like having, let's say, more just a simple layout of having only blue ice on your straightaways, putting packed ice and painting that through your corners. So it's a very free process, and there's a lot of creative expression in how you design your corners and how you test them out to see what's best fitting for your track. And with all that in mind, that pretty much sums up the track building process, which now we're going to go ahead and show you guys how we designed the Cubed GP, which is the racing track that is here on Cubed right now. So without further ado, Alessandro, my buddy here, is going to basically fill you guys in a little bit on how we made that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yes, basically, I was enrolled with making the Cube Grand Prix, and we followed this process to a T right under your noses. But basically, what we did here is follow this literal guide step by step. And when TechOn, actually credits to TechOn for actually giving us the idea for this panel, we decided to just, we'll just show them how we did it, because I think they might be interested if they want to collaborate with us for following years. Wink, wink. But basically, we knew the audience we had to target. The audience we had to target was a relatively new audience to boat racing, so we couldn't make a very thin track with very hard corners, because obviously that would just demotivate the people who trying boat racing out for the first time. And something actually I think we've succeeded in, because the newcomers have actually said they got accustomed very quickly to the track. So I think we achieved that. The track itself is around 23 blocks wide on average, and the normal version is fully packed ice. The layout itself, as you can see on the little screenshot over there, that's the shape of the track, that little doodle down there. It's pretty simple. There's not massive overarching corners. There's only like one very tight hairpin, but it's not really that tight once you drive it. Obviously, when thinking of a theming, it couldn't be anything else but Cube theme. It just had to be. It was kind of a Cube / ABG / Frostex combination. And we also decided to inspire ourselves off of real tracks, so we decided to add real track antics. And the gimmicks, we didn't decide to add any live gimmicks, any event-oriented gimmicks, but we did add a gimmick to help out players, because obviously gimmicks aren't only there to make things fun for the viewer and ruining players' races. They're also there to help. So we added runoffs. You might have seen every single piece of the track has like a little ice runoff, especially in the harder corners. So if players run off, they don't just immediately kill their runs by running into the dirt. They actually get a chance to keep going at a semi-decent speed. And obviously, in terms of boat utils, we had to keep it completely vanilla because we weren't going to expect everyone except those 10,000 purple tokens over there to have open boat utils installed and be able to drive a track of these proportions. So if we refer to the next slide, let's look at our track shaping method. And as I said, my favorite method has likely been the path. Hello there. Has likely been the scribble
Us.
path tool method.
Oh my god.
That is a remarkable skin, by the way. Hey, livestream, can you show this? This is a remarkable skin over here. Anyway. Oh, it's just gone. Okay. The method used, I decided to use for this was the path scribble method. You can see by the shape I actually drew out. It's a very smoothed out shape. I did it with a scribble method, then I did a couple path testings, and that's how it all turned out. The width is actually real width, so each pixel of that image equals to an ice block in game. You can see the result of it being pasted in game down below. And the path tool, as you can see, and as you've probably driven if you've gone around the boat racing track, if you look on the navigation method, you can go onto the activities, and the boat racing will be there. I really recommend it, especially before we take over the leaderboards tomorrow. Is really just a very smooth track, very beginner friendly. And obviously, we also had to cater to the other people who want to race a bit harsher, maybe. So we also designed a different version. So if you go on to the next slide, you will see we actually designed two versions of the track. These are, of course, the normal mode and the challenge method. So if we go to the track tuning slide, there we go. Basically, these are the two versions we created. And as you can see, they are virtually the exact same track, exact same surroundings. But as so many people have been pointing out, the feeling you get on each of these tracks is so different. By the way, I must congratulate Callum on the earlier demonstration run on the stream today. Top 3 time. I don't know if currently, but it was a top 3 time at the moment, 57 seconds. That was a great time on the main track. But basically, as you can see, the main track is full packed ice. It's catered to beginners. It is, you can see the runoffs on the image even. They are absolutely massive, just so you don't lose all of your progress. But you can see the challenge mode after this. I have a bigger image where you can see the differences a lot better. The lap time, despite it being the exact same track layout, no blocks haven't changed. It is about, on average, 4 to 5 seconds faster, just because we added that blue ice element and we added all these tuning elements. And the ice patterns are more complex, so people don't really know what the fastest line is at first. The top speeds are obviously higher because, as Adam stated, blue ice is a lot faster than packed ice, which is a lot grippier. So if you want to go over to the next slide where we can see both images side by side, we can see the simplicity, and it's not bad to be simple. We can see the simplicity in the track tuning in the main track, which is all packed ice, and everyone has seemed to like it. I haven't seen any negative reviews, and I hope not to see any. I'm just kidding. But we also see the tune track. It's barely visible. Or for example, we can see a couple corners with ultra tuning, especially that first corner has a lot of ultra tuning. The corner at the top left has a lot of pro tuning, so the fastest line is boosted with that blue ice strip. And we even have a bit of anti-tuning on the top right side, where you can see the packed ice line runs through the inside, which is theoretically the fastest line. But this is how we went about doing the cube track. We did the decorations all around cube. You can see all sorts of Easter eggs I tried to add there. The grandstands obviously labeled after the sponsors. Lots of graffitis like the Cube 2023 graffiti or the special effect graffiti on turn 2. Lots of references to ourselves, obviously, like the giant Frostex banner on the top of the track. And, you know, with all these simple elements and a couple weeks of work, you're able to create pieces like these. And I'm sure you guys are going to be able to do way more original and way better things than maybe even what we can offer. We just want you guys to start. And unfortunately, as we want you guys to start, we're going to have to start wrapping up. So, Adam, if you want to do the honors.
There you have it, guys. So you can see the way that we built this Cube GP track. We used a very nice methodology that hopefully has been nicely translated over to everyone here. Let's check out the next slide here. I mean, the real big thing is too, guys, if you guys do come around to enjoying the Cube GP and coming to drive around with it, we welcome you guys here with open arms to come over to the Appleseed Boat Gang. Our Discord link, I guess, could be linked maybe in stream or something like that, or in chat. But we're pretty much the biggest community out there with a lot of fans of motorsports, boat racing, and just weird like mechanics here you see in Minecraft. Of course, now if you guys do come to make anything as well with this tutorial, you design your own tracks, please come on, send them over to our track submissions tab. We definitely invite you guys to like show off what you guys come to make. And yeah, I would like to also jump over to the last slide here. Let's give you guys a big thank you, if anything, for listening, because there's lots of nerd stuff here. But I appreciate everyone for really sticking around, hearing us out. I would like to quickly ask if there are any questions maybe here from the audience or in chat. I think if that's all right, Charlie, for us to read out a few.
Absolutely. If you guys have any questions in the Twitch chat, please drop them. We do have a bit of time for some questions. So I've actually got one just to kick us off. What's
Awesome.
your favorite track that you've built so far?
Oh gosh, that's objective.
Well, we all have very subjective answers, I guess. I mean, to start with me personally, I personally have my own track I built. It was very wide track. It's the one I showed actually during the presentation there with that chicane. The idea really was to me is that I tried to make a track that has anti-tuning in it. And the reason I like it so much is that when you have anti-tuning applied to a track and you have a fastest racing line that's slower, it encourages a lot more switchback racing. So you'll see people dive deep and like a DNA helix, you'll see them just switching back and forth. And there's a lot of beauty I find in racing other people and having this element of different racing lines switching back on each other. And yeah, to me, like that was my personal favorite track, really developing my own style of tuning and style of corners. So I think others like Blue Fantasy, you guys have your own. I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys give us an answer as well.
yeah.
My favorite is definitely the BCC track, which has been shown quite a few times in the slideshow. And Alessandro and I built that together, probably I don't know, year and a half ago, and it's stuck around just enough to be really still relevant today. And I still love that so much.
I mean, we had like 50 people on that track, so it was quite.
No, it wasn't 50. It wasn't 50, Adam. It was 100.
50 first year, 100 actually this year.
108 actually. Please fact check yourself.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah, I think
It was.
I think for me, it's probably one of my most recent tracks. I recently built a track called Enderheimer Valley. That is it's very new, but it's out, and I really like the decor and the flow of the track that I managed to keep throughout that. It's very anti-tuned as well there.
Yeah. And so all these tracks, you guys could play them if you want. We have our boat racing server. It's called frosthex.com. I put it in the Twitch chat there. frosthex.com. And it's a great place to be able to check out like all the different tracks and get inspiration. But I see in chat some other questions too here, like how long does it usually take to build tracks? Generally speaking, tracks could really depend on time there. It's all up to how good you are with World Edit. I found that when it comes to making tracks, I've been able to get them down within the span of like a few weeks. So it all depends on what kind of scope you're trying to set to it. If you have a massive project in mind or just a simple little circle to drive around, I guess there's a lot of variability in that. But I tend to like making, decent enough projects like with Formula One, real life track recreations, and it takes around a week to get those sorts of realistic tracks. So it might give you an idea.
Like the thing about track building is that the track itself doesn't necessarily take a long time to build, unless it's of course world's longest course, a Prime Minecraft download, which you can play for over 12 hours straight and still not be done. But that's another completely different case. If you're talking about the icing itself, you can definitely get it done within a couple of days, and even within a couple of hours if you're quick enough and the track is simple enough. But the decoration itself is definitely the most painstaking process. Because you need to think about how to fill up all the space and how to make the track look good from within the track itself. But it is likely the decoration that takes the longest, more than the icing itself.
Alessandro, this is a good one. Is there any catch-up mechanic, or are we just waiting and praying on the first person to make a mistake?
We're praying to the rain gods to let the person ahead of us make a mistake. Obviously, there's been the rumor around the community that, if the penguin got added hypothetically, it would allow for boats to be able to go faster and we could maybe code it so you can go faster as you're behind another person's boat, as some sort of slipstream mechanic. But so far, the only way to really overtake someone who does well in boat racing is waiting for them to mess up or doing a
Yeah.
very risky tactic.
It's not quite like Mario Kart, so there's no like gimmicks really to just like throw a blue shell to first place. Although maybe it's possible to program that with more plugins and command blocks. I mean, it's the beauties that Minecraft has so much open-ended creativity for what kind of things you could develop. But I guess otherwise, it really just comes down to you just have to hold good pace, and that's how you can really outspeed someone ahead of you. And that's also why I love tuning, because with like, you know, different types of maybe anti-tuning, there are alternative racing lines you could take to try to get around whoever's ahead of you. So that kind of answers it, I think.
We actually got a question from the producer, I see. Is there a gimmick you guys wanted to add but couldn't technically achieve?
Ooh.
I mean, there's a couple. I guess the slipstream one is always one we've always
Yeah.
wanted. Like
That's
a catch-up
mega.
mechanic we've always wanted, but we couldn't technically achieve it. Because mainly you can't add effects onto boats. Like, it's not something that is currently possible. So we're kind of just stuck with having to do risky maneuvers or just trying to outdrive the person ahead of you. There's no such thing as a slipstream.
Like, it is possible now with mods. That's the thing, right? So is that there are, like, we have a mod, right? And as we were talking about there, it's called Open Boat Utils. And with that mod, you're actually able to control the speed of boats according to the server. So it really just, I guess, comes down to having an elaborate enough plugin to define when your boat goes faster or slower. So it's complicated, and that's the thing. It's not really technically achievable at the moment, but who knows in the future.
So how do you launch boats into the air? Are slime blocks the most effective way? Depends. I mean, slime blocks are definitely an option. They're a very laggy and inconsistent option, though, so we don't recommend it. We did a recreation of Coconut Mall, actually, which you can also download on Planet Minecraft. It is fully drivable. All of the gimmicks work, so the elevators switch. There's me cars that move from side to side and everything. It was using OBJ2 schematic, so it's perfectly scaled to the real Mario Kart. Plus, the way we made the, you know how there's a point where you go up into the kind of the roof of the mall, while the path splits and twine, and one of the routes takes you up. Well, we made it so, thanks to our buddy Laser Sloth, he coded it so we could actually launch like a Mario Kart cannon up in the air with like, you literally just launch up in the air. Imagine a Mario Kart cannon doing exactly that. Like the DK Summit one as well. You just launch yourself up. Like the boat literally starts levitating. That's another way we can go up. Another way to go up, as we mentioned, if it's only by increments of one block, we can either use a water elevator with soul sand, which obviously stops you dead in your tracks, or the water pillars, which only slightly get rid of your speed and may cause slight issues, but it's definitely the most consistent way to do it in vanilla.
Yeah, that's it. No, they're great. They're great developments that we've made that involve like with those whole like systems that we have for Coconut Mall. They work in vanilla because they're literally just using like command blocks. And so the idea is, with time, we want to try to move those sorts of command block-based systems over into data packs or server plugins, and that would definitely make them run more effectively. But it has so much creative potential with the vehicle mechanics of Minecraft boats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Otherwise, we have Crafties asking, what ice boat racing vids would you recommend?
My channel is full of.
No, my channel definitely my channel. No, my
Wait,
channel's the
guys,
best.
I have
Even-
one too.
Oh, what?
It's
Oh,
very funny. It's
crazy.
very funny, right? Because my channel's actually empty. That was the
Oh,
joke,
it's
and you
like-
guys plugged yourself.
It's like we all have channels and we're all just trying to advertise. But no, the thing is, I mean, if you just look up Minecraft Ice Boat Racing, or if you come join our server with the Appleseed Boat Gang, we promote a lot of great content, and especially, I mean, let's say Captain Crafties. Crazy how he asked the question, but he does have a very great series and highly edited videos he's done. Very funny ones as well that show off like the racing series that we host during the off season. Pretty much, it's like the fastest boat racers ever. We gather them on some of the most tricky tracks out there, and we just have them all duke it out, kind of like an all-stars league. So he's made some brilliant videos there, Captain Crafties, and I mean you could find all these from within our server as well that we post good content. So yeah, it's a big creative outlet for us.
It really
I don't know
seems
if
like
there's
it. It
anything.
really does. I honestly, I got very
Yeah.
excited when you guys mentioned Coconut Mall. I like the fact that you guys have made like so many like tracks that are just recreated is just absolutely
Yeah.
insane to me. Right, we got
I'll
time for
drop you a link.
one more question, and then we'll have to wrap it up. So if anybody in the chat has a question that they would
Yeah.
like to ask, please.
How about you pick it, Charlie?
Sure, why not? I
Yeah.
will pick it.
If the user saying the question is Ohio Cat, do not pick it.
Oh, okay.
Who's the best?
I have seen that one. Well, let's see.
I'm kind of putting you on the spot. I don't think this is a great pool now at this point.
Oh no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Let's see. I'm just seeing if we missed any up the top.
Oh god, not this question.
Oh, one of our producers has asked, "What's the best racing song?"
Okay,
Oh.
here's the thing. There's so many tastes for music from background racing. If you guys are interested, Purple Toki races with the vanilla Minecraft background, the Mad Lad.
Oh my god.
People
Well-
race with Eurobeat, which is, Japanese downhill racing,
my.
very upbeat.
Bro, I can nerd out over this, man. Eurobeat is the absolute best. I mean, honestly, the thing is that in real life,
Why did I say
drifting
that?
cars and the overall culture of that kind of stuff pretty much originated from Japan. And a lot of the music that's directly associated with this is Eurobeat. It's an amazing music genre that has been featured across various like street racing, car anime. But I definitely recommend that for Minecraft when you're sliding around and drifting. Eurobeat is really up there. It'll get your heart pumping, and you'll be bound to just lap tracks as fast as you ever could.
I mean, you
So,
also get the option
exactly.
Charlie suggested. Great option. Life is a Highway.
Oh
Cars 2, great movie. Hell yeah.
absolutely.
Then we got
Wait, hold on.
obviously,
I know the
Swan.
answer you guys are waiting for. I know the answer.
Don't
you guys
say
are,
it, Blue.
You guys,
Don't say it. Don't
you
name
guys
the
are
50
looking-
million short song, please.
You guys like Freebird, don't you?
Oh my god,
Oh,
I'm out of here.
no.
See you later.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
been fun.
That's it.
Well, thank you so much, guys. It's been a great presentation. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, thank you
Thank you
guys
so
for
much.
coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. We always love having you guys on here,
Mhm.
especially since you've brought us such amazing tips and tricks, to be honest, on the world of boat racing, which I didn't even know existed until last year. So thank you so
Jeez.
much for that.
Can't wait to see you at the Cube GP.
Oh yeah,
tomorrow.
look out
We'll
for
see
that,
you at the
guys.
track.
Indeed, absolutely. Right, coming up next, we have got Callum and George will return for some late night shenanigans with you all, and after that, we have the world famous Cubed pub quiz. So stick around
Oh,
for that,
yeah.
and we will see you guys in a little bit.